Here we go. Hello, everybody. This is your favorite on-age comic book podcast, Flea Market Fantasy. I am your co-host, Mike L., and as always, I'm joined by
Michael Dell of the LCS Hockey Radio Show.
That's right, and this is our second episode under quarantine. So, again, our lives are pretty much exactly the same, but hopefully there's more of you indoors that are able to listen to our podcast now. So we're going to exploit this, disaster for as for all it's worth. But anyway, so this week is Mike Dell's pick. So Mike Dell, why don't you tell us? I mean, I know that we had champions a couple weeks ago, but
yes,
this is a slight step up, I guess. You want to tell us what your pick here? Okay,
it is a slight step up. This is the Defenders.
Right.
18 from 1974. Yeah, I wanted to go on another obscure team book because we did the champions. So now I did a Defenders column for your website. I reviewed an issue by Steve Englehart.
Right.
So people go back to comicbooksyndicate.com or whatever and look it up. You'll find it. So this is actually my second Defenders book. Did you read Defenders when you were a kid, Michael?
No, I mean, I probably read a small handful. Like when I was growing up, it was already in the later, it was like in the 140s or 50s or whatever. And it was with, I believe Luke Cage and Iron Fist were on the team at that point. Maybe I'm wrong.
Luke Cage was.
Yes, okay, he was. And I think they had painted covers near the end by Bill Sienkiewicz. Really? And I think it was called The New Defenders at that point.
Yeah, they did kind of rebrand them as The New Defenders. So right. The Defenders was created by our buddy Roy Thomas.
Really?
Yep.
Gets around.
Roy does everything in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically built as a non-team. So it was like these individual heroes that kind of were a team, but really weren't. They just all kind of individuals. And they tended to fight mystical or cosmic foes. And they had rotating membership.
Right.
A lot of people came in through the doors of the Defenders. The original team, though, Mike L., was the Hulk, Doctor Strange, and Namor the Submariner.
That's right. Okay.
Those were your original Defenders. And the reason why they were the original three is because Roy Thomas was doing a story. He was writing Doctor Strange. Mm-hmm. He was writing an Incredible Hulk, and he was writing a book with Namor.
Of course.
At the time. So Doctor Strange, the regular series, got canceled. Mm-hmm. So he had to finish a story that he's doing where Doctor Strange was fighting the Nameless One and some other demons and whatnot. So to finish the story, he did a crossover between the three books he was writing.
Really?
And
okay.
So that's how the Defenders basically came together. And then they did their first actual appearance as the Defenders in Marvel Features #1, 1971. That's where the trio first appeared as the Defenders.
Okay.
And then they got their own series in 1972. So that's when this series started. And it ran until 1986. Mm-hmm. It ended with issue 152.
Yes.
And I guess since then, Marvel has brought back other series called The Defenders, right? They've done other incarnations of it, I believe.
Secret Defenders and Defenders, a bunch of other ones, yeah.
And of course, Netflix had the Defenders TV show.
Yikes.
With, Daredevil, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones. I like the concept, but the execution was not good.
No, I agree with that, yeah. I should also point out, I actually do own a bunch of Defenders written by Steve Gerber and Steve Englehart. I just haven't read them yet because, I don't know, I just like to buy far more comics than I'll ever be able to read. So
yeah, Englehart, he came in, I can't even remember what issues he was doing, maybe like around 70, 80, somewhere in there. But he started to get stuff started to get weird when Englehart. Like, it's hard to explain, but at one point Hulk has like a pet deer.
I think I remember that. Yeah, I think I remember.
And then the deer was actually Nighthawk. Like his spirit was inside this deer, and it's very weird.
We actually reviewed an issue of Defenders on Quasar Chronology, and
wow.
I think it's because they put a call out for new members, and a bunch of heroes show up, and one of them's Quasar, of course. And the Defenders don't know what to do, so Valkyrie and the Hulk serve them coffee, and it is awesome. Okay, I got.
I'm just going to guess they declined Quasar services, right?
I think
That's
did.
all right. That's all right, Quasar. We're good.
Yeah. Poor Quasar.
No one wanted Quasar. Yeah, so like I said, the original members, Strange, Namor, and Hulk. Then the Silver Surfer joined, I think, by issue 4.
Mm-hmm.
But then he wasn't a constant. Like I said, this was a rotating membership. A lot of people went in and out the doors. The list of Defenders members would include the Silver Surfer, FLEA, who was Doctor Strange's lady. Remember FLEA? Right. Nighthawk, Valkyrie, Damian Hellstrom, the son of Satan, Hellcat, a fella named Gargoyle.
Yeah,
I didn't remember. I had to look him up. The Beast of X-Men fame was there for a while. Luke Cage, Yellow Jacket, Hawkeye, and the Red Guardian, who was a Russian lady. Red Guardian.
Right, that's right. There's 2 Red Guardians. Forgot about that.
Sure. I don't know.
The male Red Guardian is going to be in the Black Widow movie, just so everyone knows.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Now, what do you know about Nighthawk, Mike L? Because in this issue that we'll be reviewing today, the key members we'll be discussing are Doctor Strange, Nighthawk, Hulk, and Valkyrie. Like, even though Namor is on the cover and he's mentioned in the book, like the intro to the book, he's not actually in this story.
Well, the only thing, I believe Nighthawk is an original member of the Squadron Sinister, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you know what the Squadron Sinister is?
Yes, there are Marvel's evil doppelganger version of the Justice League. And the membership includes Nighthawk, Hyperion, what is it? Dr. Spectrum, right?
I think that's right. And then the Wizard.
And the Wizard. So yeah, Flash, Green Lantern, Superman, and Batman. And then later, they introduced the Squadron Supreme, which were the good versions of the Justice League from Earth S. So obviously that was their tribute to DC. So,
and the Squadron Sinister, they were put together by the Grand Master, right?
That's right, yep.
Grand Master. And Nighthawk, his real name is Kyle Richmond, and his first appearance was in Avengers 1969, and he was created by Roy Thomas and Sal Buscema.
Mm-hmm.
How about that? And like you said, the Grand Master put those guys together to fight the Avengers.
Right.
So Nighthawk was originally a bad guy, and he's kind of a dick. He's basically a little bit like Batman, you would say.
Right.
And his backstory, a wealthy kid, grew up, his mom died when he was young, and then his dad ended up dying. So he was like in charge of the Richmond Corporation or whatever.
Right.
But he let some other guy run it, some guy named, is it Pennyworth? J.C. Pennyworth?
I'm not sure. I didn't get that far. I don't know.
Yeah. Because this all plays into the story we're doing today, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Nighthawk gets his powers. He drank some. I think the Grand Master gave him some sort of magic potion or something, and so he's basically a normal dude during the day, but at night he becomes like stronger, faster, all that kind of stuff.
Now, did you look up the the good version of Nighthawk from Earth S?
No.
Because he looks almost exactly like Batman.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, like this version is obviously more bird-like, but the Earth S version is when you look at his silhouette, he looks exactly like Batman. And his costume's blue and black, sort of. But
and like Batman, he relies on like gadgets and stuff.
Yes, too. I believe so. Yeah.
But at this point, he does get like stronger and almost like superhero abilities at night.
Okay.
So that's something, I guess.
Yeah.
Nighthawk. Yeah, but his costume, he has the big red cape, and he does kind of have like a bird mask or something. I don't know.
Right.
Whatever. All right, so that's the Nighthawk. Valkyrie's in here as well. Now, Valkyrie's backstory, I don't think we've ever talked about her on the show, but it's very confusing. I don't know. She's like a normal lady named Barbara.
Yes.
Who somehow is the spirit of Valkyrie, the Asgardian Valkyrie, the big blonde lady with the pigtails and the warrior. She somehow goes in Barbara's body. Is that right?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know much about her. I don't know.
Yeah, basically, the Valkyrie, her real name is Broomhilda, right? And she's an Asgardian warrior. And for a while, she came into an Earth mortal's body. So I guess in a way, it's kind of like Thor going into what was his Henry Blake or what was his name?
No, Donald Blake. Yeah,
Donald Blake.
Henry Blake. Yeah,
I think that was MASH. Henry.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. So anyway, I guess it's similar to that. The Enchantress was involved and all kind of. Between you and me, Michael, I could give a fuck about Asgard. All right, I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know anything about it. You know.
I don't love Asgard, but because Thor was drawn by Jack Kirby back in the '60s, that's why I'm interested in it. You know?
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm not the biggest Kirby fan either, so.
Now, did you see Thor Ragnarok?
Yes.
I love that movie.
Yeah, it's very entertaining.
Yeah, so Valkyrie's in that movie, played by Tessa
Yes.
Thompson. Yeah, or Tessa Thompson. Sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
Not the big blonde lady with the pigtails.
No,
Completely
not
different
quite.
take on
Yeah,
Valkyrie.
different take. Yeah.
And also, Valkyrie has a flying horse, right?
Right.
Like, is it Argaron or something like that, or Aragon, or?
Yeah, I can't remember. It's in here somewhere.
Yeah, no one cares. It's a flying horse. That's all you need to know. All right. Now, the other big characters in this issue. The reason I picked this issue is it's the first appearance. Well, the first full appearance of the Wrecking Crew.
The Wrecking Crew.
Because I guess they made like a cameo, maybe a one-panel appearance at the end of the previous issue.
Right.
But here's their first full appearance, the Wrecking Crew. And if you listen to our Secret Wars episode with Cousin Brandon, you should be familiar with the Wrecking Crew, but it's the Wrecker,
right,
Bulldozer, Pile Driver, and Thunderball. The Wrecking Crew. I always like the Wrecking Crew, Michael.
Yeah, they're definitely. The more I read about them, the more I like them. That's for sure.
Yeah, and their background is tied into Asgard. So, yeah, it's crazy. But the Wrecker's real name is Dirk Garthwaite. That name sounds like trouble. If you're born Dirk Garthwaite, that's trouble. His first appearance was in Thor 148, 1968. He's created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.
Nice.
Now, I'm sure everyone's familiar with the Wrecker, but he wears like a green outfit with a purple ski mask and purple gloves, purple boots, and he carries a big old crowbar because he was just a petty crook who used a crowbar as his weapon to bust up places and to rob things. But one day, Michael, he broke into the hotel room of a guy named Loki. And at this time, Loki was powerless. Odin had put a spell on him to get rid of his powers. And I think Odin also reduced Thor's powers at this time. So Loki, he had just done some mystical ritual to summon an Asgardian lady named, what's her name? Karnilla.
Okay.
Karnilla. And she's the monarch of Nornheim, which is an independent realm within Asgard.
Really?
Yes. And he did some ritual to summon her to give him back his powers. So he does the ritual while he's waiting for her to show up. The Wrecker breaks into his hotel room and he overpowers Loki and he puts his horned helmet on. Just, because he's the Wrecker, he can do what he wants. So when this Karnilla shows up, she thinks the Wrecker's Loki and she gives him mystical powers.
Okay.
The old switcheroo.
Yeah. Gets him every time. I had no idea there was any mystical link with the Wrecker until I read this issue.
Oh, really? Yeah.
No clue. Yeah, I just didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, if you had been paying attention during Secret Wars, you would have picked up on it because he talks about it. Yeah.
Right.
How he fought Thor to a standstill and stuff with his mystical crowbar. But anyway, the crowbar is really what's enchanted here.
Okay.
That's what really is the source of the power. So the Wrecker becomes, nearly unstoppable, and he actually goes off on and like I said, Thor was underpowered at this time, so he actually beats Thor, but then he loses to the what's that guy? The Destroyer.
Yes.
That ribbit from Asgard.
Right. Who's also in the first Thor movie.
Yes, that's right. So then he goes away to prison. He gets out of prison. He fights Thor again, and Thor defeats him by putting him on the third rail of a subway train and electrocuting him with his hammer and everything. So then that brings us to where the Wrecking Crew, because at that time where he's imprisoned, he teams up with some other inmates, 3 other buddies. They escape. He tracks down his crowbar. He holds up the crowbar in an electrical storm. They're all holding the crowbar. They get electrocuted and they all become powerful.
Right. Now, is that only revealed in this issue?
Yes, it gets revealed in this issue.
Okay, I thought maybe. Okay.
of the Wrecking Crew. The other Wrecking Crew guys, pile driver is Brian Kolusky. He was a farmhand and a drifter before he ended up in prison. And then we have bulldozer named Henry Camp. He was former military, dishonorably discharged. I believe he was a boxer too, and he was a petty criminal. So that's how he ended up in prison. And then we have Thunderball. Now this is interesting because I've read Thunderball over the years. I had no idea of his backstory, but his real name is Dr. Elliot Franklin, and he was a brilliant physicist who created a mini gamma bomb.
Really?
And that is something even Bruce Banner could not knew. But his scientific knowledge earned him the nickname the Black Bruce Banner.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
His peers in the scientific community. But here's where things went wrong. He turned to a life of crime to fund his experiments. He got arrested, thrown in jail, and that's how he became part of the Wrecking Crew. But in all my years of reading the Wrecking Crew, I never picked up on the fact that this guy was a brilliant physicist.
I knew that if you pay attention to his speech pattern, he speaks more eloquently than the others, right? Like,
well, I guess that's a low bar, though. Because,
yeah, well, the one guy, yes, is it the blonde guy that has the accent that, like, the one who's a farmer or whatever? Yeah,
interestingly enough, Bulldozer is the guy. He comes from Kansas, but he's not the farmer. And then Brian Kolusky, pile driver, he is the farmhand, although he's originally from New York.
Right.
Which is weird.
I'm trying to figure out what kind of accent that is supposed to be they're giving him. Is that New York or is that something else? Do you know?
I have no idea.
All right.
I just know the record calls everybody tin horns, and he refers to everybody as his chum. That I picked up on. But so, yeah, that's the Wrecking Crew. And, of course, the Wrecker's got the crowbar. Thunderball's got a big, wrecking ball on a chain that he spins and throws. Pile driver just has really big hands, so he can punch things like a pile driver. Yeah. And then bulldozer, he's basically a poor man's juggernaut. He just runs through everything. And in this issue, Michael, he's drawn very much like Ram Man from Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, that's a good point. Definitely.
Like his helmet and everything.
Yeah.
Ram Man. So that's the Wrecking Crew. That's your backstory to all the key players here in this issue. So the Defenders, Michael, are you ready to take it away?
Sure. So, yeah, we come in, obviously...
Oh, cover, Mike. Let's talk about
cover, of course. Yes. And I'm going to guess this is by Gil Kane.
You know what? I don't even know.
I'm pretty sure it's by Gil Kane, yeah. This is a really good cover.
It's pretty good.
I mean, well drawn. I mean, you could pick it apart, but so the Hulk is in the foreground of the Defenders with Luke Cage and Nighthawk behind him, and he's facing off against the Wrecker. And then behind him, you see Doctor Strange. I don't know what he's doing, backhanding. What's his name?
That's one of the complaints I have about this.
Yeah, like he's kind of just, what is he, poking his eyes out? I don't know.
Doing the old Three Stooges thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then I don't remember their names. Thunderball is behind him, and then Bulldozer's at the bottom. I think it's a good cover. I mean, the composition is a little wonky, but other than that, I think it's pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a good cover. I enjoy it. The cover is credited to Gil Kane, Dave Cockrum, and Gasper Saladino.
Huh.
So I'm guessing was Cockrum doing the inks?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So, I do like the cover, especially the Hulk and the Wrecker part of it.
Right.
The problem I have with it is the perspectives are all thrown off there with Doctor Strange swooping in, and he's in the background, but he is way bigger than the Hulk.
Yeah, you could argue that, definitely.
And it's just I don't know, the perspectives are all weird here, but I still enjoy it. And it almost looks like Hulk and Wrecker look very dynamic, and then Doctor Strange almost looks like a cardboard cutout just thrown in there.
Good point. Good point. Yeah.
But it's still a fun cover.
There's also a lot of empty negative space where his feet are. I wonder if we needed all that empty space, right? But
yeah, I guess the spacing issue with the cover box, because we got Namor, Strange, and Hulk depicted underneath the price, 25 cents, and we got the Defenders, the big title, and then we got On a Rampage in a black box, and then at the bottom the Wrecker, Thunderball, Pile Driver. Well, Pile Driver's hyphenated there, so that's weird. Interesting. Bulldozer. Put them all together, and you've got the Wrecking Crew. Oh, this is tremendous. I would be putting down my quarter to buy this.
For sure. You know who else? The Wrecking Crew. I just gotta say quickly, the studio band that what's his name? Who's the famous producer from the early '60s? What's his name again? Phil Spector. His backing band was called the Wrecking Crew, also used by the Beach Boys. But anyway,
really?
Yep.
But that cannot be a connection to this, right? I mean, they're not inspired by the Wrecking Crew, right?
I doubt it. I think it's just, no, like when you think of Wrecking Crew, you just think of like, I don't know, like a demolition construction team, I think, right? I assume.
Yeah, and that's like all their gimmicks here are based off like construction stuff.
Right.
And the Wrecking Crew's big scheme is that they're going to destroy New York buildings until New York paid them money. And in this particular story, I should fill you in on the backstory here, Michael.
Sure.
The reason they're fighting here in this issue is because the Wrecking Crew is looking for a gamma bomb that Thunderbolt had created when he was a physicist, and it was stolen from him by that Pennyworth fella who works for Cal Richmond, Nighthawk's dad, who died. So now, this is very convoluted, but so now Richmond, aka Nighthawk, he hires Luke Cage to prevent the Wrecking Crew from destroying the Richmond buildings in New York City, because they own a bunch of buildings, and the Wrecking Crew is going through those Richmond buildings to destroy them, looking for the gamma bomb. All right?
Right.
So Nighthawk hires Luke Cage to help, but Luke Cage doesn't know that Nighthawk hired him because he was hired through a proxy, that Pennyworth. So now Nighthawk, Luke Cage, and Doctor Strange are fighting side by side to prevent the Wrecking Crew from destroying Richmond buildings which belong to Nighthawk.
Really?
Very confusing. Yeah.
But so Luke Cage is not actually in the Defenders at this point, or he is? Okay.
He's a hero for hire still. He hired separately. Okay. But I don't think he joins the Defenders well till like closer to issue 100 or something.
Right. That's what I thought.
So, there we go. All right, so there's the backstory. Now we can get to the story.
Awesome. So, fittingly enough, they're in the middle of a construction site with, whatever that's called. What's that thing called that scoops dirt up? I don't even know. A scavenger?
I think a dirt scooper.
Okay. Is that the official? I don't know. So, yeah, we've got the Defenders here. We've got Nighthawk, Doctor Strange, plus Luke Cage, hero for hire, facing off against the Wrecking Crew. Basically, the cops come in, everyone's yelling at each other, and it goes right into your favorite thing, Michael. Fisticuffs, right?
Yeah. This whole issue is nothing but fights.
I know, I noticed that. I gotta say, there's a lot of classic comic book dialogue in here. I'll get to it as we go along, but it's just funny, I've been anxious to try my wrecking ball against something other than inanimate structures, and those squad cars provide a perfect moving target, things like that. And there's a really cool scene where his wrecking ball is flying through the air, and Doctor Strange casts a spell. Well, I guess it's specifically the Shield of the Seraphim, and it says here the heavy iron wrecking ball seems almost to hesitate as it approaches Doctor Strange's mystic barrier. Then, as if possessing a mind of its own, the powerful weapon arcs around the wall of eldritch energy. Is that the word, eldritch?
Eldritch. I don't know how they say it. Eldritch. Yeah, it looks like eldritch. Yeah, eldritch.
Okay. Someone had a thesaurus out or a dictionary, right? They were just slapping things together.
Yeah, so the Thunderbolt goes around that and then smashes the police car. But notice the cop dives out at the last second, because otherwise he'd be dead. Yeah. But the other thing I love about this issue, Michael, is look at the bottom of the page beneath that panel. On each page, they have a little note.
An advertisement,
Yeah, trying to hype up other Marvel comics. And on this page, it says, if you give a hoot about the owl, don't miss Daredevil, number 116.
That's great.
That is amazing.
Probably written by an intern or something, eh?
Probably Roy Thomas.
Yeah, there you go. That person's probably making bank on Twitter right now, eh? 30, 40 years later.
Give a hoot about the owl.
Anyway. There's a lot of back and forth fisticuffs here. I don't know. I mean, again, there's not much specific plot going on other than just back and forth, right? For a while anyway.
Yeah.
Bulldozer,
they're just trying to fight each other.
Right. I thought I gave you guys an order, so fighting. Ram looks like Ram Man, like you said. And then there's actually, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to say about this. Like I said, there's some. I really do like the art. We'll talk about the art later, but I love me some Sal Buscema. You know, we've talked about him quite a bit, and it's just the classic, like angry expressions and wide open mouths and people running around. Although at the bottom of page 6, there's a really weird shot of the wrecker running.
Yeah,
It looks like he changed his mind halfway through drawing him of what perspective he was, or maybe he got someone to finish the bottom, but his legs are like half as big as his torso. Hey, like
maybe you could get away with it kind of if he's running right at the camera, maybe.
Right.
To exaggerate the foreshortening, but he does it from a side perspective. So the legs are real tiny and the upper body's enormous. Yeah. It's tremendous, though.
Pretty bad.
I love it.
But I got to talk about this dialogue here. You think you got us, don't you, wise guy? But all you're going to get is dead. We gave you stumble bums a chance to walk away from this, but now they're just going to have to carry you out. Sorry, stumble bums. I love that.
Stumble bum is awesome.
And then, okay, so this is where I started laughing out loud, okay? Cut to the next scene. We cut to like an interlude, that they like to call it, right? Of Valkyrie, who is, this is actually a really cool scene, but she's kind of getting dropped off by a cab, I think. And then she's walking around on the street here, and, they're narrating, and this is where it gets funny. So, they offered to help, of course, but she pointedly turned them down. This is a task she must attend to herself. If she only knew where to start. Then the next panel, all she's been told is that she was once a girl named Barbara, an acolyte of a cult that sacrificed the Hulk's alter ego Bruce Banner to the god called the Nameless One. Like, what? What the hell? Sacrifice the Hulk's alter ego. I don't know. Yeah. I can't quite figure out how you would do that and not. I guess the Hulk was separate at the time from Bruce Banner.
Oh, I think he was just Bruce Banner. They just didn't know
what they were doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on. And now this is looking back at it through time, so they know that he's the Hulk. But back then, maybe they didn't. I don't know. I don't know the true story here. But remember when I said they started off in a crossover with Strange, Namor, and Hulk fighting the Nameless One? This is that crossover.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like she appeared in there as Barbara during the story.
Very interesting.
So,
and then the next panel is like that she'd become trapped in the Nameless One's savage dimension, and there had eventually mated with the demon and gone mad. Mated, yeah.
Made sweet, sweet love with the demon. How about that?
Exactly. I love it.
But yeah, so basically Valkyrie, she's trying to get back in touch with her human form. She's trying to figure out who she was as a human before all this. She became Valkyrie. And I got to say, Valkyrie looks good here.
Yes, this is some good girl art here. Like it's almost like a romance comic or something. She looks hot.
Yeah. She's got the hair down, covering one eye, kind of like Veronica Lake.
Right.
Nowadays. So yeah, Valkyrie getting it done, looking good. All right. So now we're back to the fight, though. Back to the fight.
Back to the fight. Back to the good stuff, right?
Yeah, this is awesome. Thunderball throws his big ball and chain at Luke Cage, who grabs a steel girder and just swats it away. Splang.
But what does he say there? Always wanted a chance to play at being Hank Aaron. And I don't know baseball, but even I know Hank Aaron, so it must be somebody.
That's right. The home run king. Hank Aaron. Yeah. Because we don't count, Bonds. So it's Hank Aaron, yeah. But then Luke Cage just goes in and cracks Thunderball with the big old left hand. Boom. I love this. There's nothing but fights, Micah.
I know. This is your favorite.
And then when Luke Cage thinks he has it won, Power Driver comes up behind him and cracks him in the back. Look at the size of Power Driver's hands. It's massive. The ladies love them.
but I also love this first panel with Luke Cage. Lucky it missed me, or they'd be scraping up Power Man pancakes for weeks. Awesome. Classic comic book dialogue right there.
And he said, and also when the Thunderball just missed him, he says that overgrown iron marble came about as close as a $5 shave.
Yeah.
That's a really good shave. But now, just when Power Driver's about to KO Luke Cage, because Luke Cage is down for the count, boom, what happens, Michael?
what's his name? Nighthawk smashes him with the dirt scooper that we talked about earlier. And then, of course, Luke Cage has a big smile on his face, and Nighthawk is like, "You okay, Cage? When I was a kid, my father taught me how to use one of these rigs. Never thought it'd come in handy until now." This is awesome. This is so good.
Now, when I read that line, I that's just so ridiculous. But I guess his dad did own a construction company, so I guess theoretically,
okay,
it can work. But it's still, it's hilarious.
Oh boy. I can just picture Len Wein putting so much effort into all this dialogue, like even right after that, Luke Cage is like, "Flyboy, next time you see your daddy, you tell him a dude named Cage owes him a favor, a big favor."
But I know if you can look closely, though, there's a single tear going down Nighthawk's cheek because his dad's dead. So you can't really talk to him. So. Sorry.
Oh, anyway. So now it's more fisticuffs. What's his name? Pile Driver is now running up.
No. Bulldozer.
Bulldozer. Pardon me. Bulldozer. Yes. Right.
Get it straight.
Right. Bulldozer's running towards this thing, whatever it is.
Nighthawk. Yeah.
Through it. Crabroom. I don't know what that sound effect's supposed to signify, but
well, he just runs right through the dirt scooper. Just boom, right through it. Right. Like again, a poor man's juggernaut. This bulldozer. Yeah. But I like this fight because it always looks like one guy's got the advantage. It started off with like Luke Cage getting the edge on Thunderball, and then Pile Driver jumping Luke Cage, right. And then Nighthawk taking care of Pile Driver. Now Bulldozer takes care of Nighthawk, but Doctor Strange steps up and zaps Bulldozer right in the face. Boom.
Well, it's a good way to fill 18 pages, right? If you're going to fill 18 pages, that's the way you do it. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
I'm just skimming through these bubbles to see if there's any goodies. I'm sure they're all good, but we can't read every bubble, right?
So, but after Strange gets the drop on Bulldozer, then Pile Driver comes back and takes out Strange. So
right. That's a good. Yeah.
Back and forth. So.
Right. And then they face off against each other, and they're kind of shouting at each other. And then now it's time for a flashback, right?
Yes.
So the Wrecker is going to explain the origin of the Wrecking Crew, which we kind of talked about earlier, right?
Yeah, I spun it up for. But they kind of hit a standstill. These two teams are squaring off. It's a 4-on-3 fight, but they've kind of had a standstill. So the Wrecker takes the time to fill in with some backstory.
Right.
So here, I'll tell you about her backstory.
Love it. And at the beginning of the story, I think they called it a Mexican standoff, didn't they?
Yeah.
I think on page 1. So yeah, that's what it kind of is, I guess.
And of course, but the Wrecker, he screws up by telling the backstory. He admits that they're enchanted with magic. And Doctor Strange says, "Hey, wait a minute.
I'm the master of magic." That's right. Yeah. So yeah, he uses his mystical powers he's trying to depower them, but then my head, the pain pounding as if it will burst. Something assaulting the mystic barrier I maintain. So he had erected this mystical barrier, but someone, no less than the Hulk, has been pounding on it, right?
Yeah, so he put up this barrier around the area so no innocent civilians would get hurt.
Right.
It's just them Wrecking Crew in this bubble.
And now we're coming up to my favorite scene in the whole book, okay? So the Hulk is smashing on the wall of nothing, let Hulk in. Hulk has come to help Hulk's friends. Then Hulk thought Bird Nose and Magician had betrayed Hulk, but Hulk knows now Hulk was wrong. Then there's a little star, and at the bottom it says, "Greenskin learned the value of friendship in Marvel Team Up number 27, which may still be on sale if you've been good. Roy." That is my favorite footnote in Marvel Comics history. I love it.
Hulk learned the value of friendship. Yeah.
We're having so much fun back then.
But I love that Hulk dialogue. This is the kind of Hulk I love. He talks like this, And at one point in the book, we even get a puny human. He calls somebody a puny human. Right. So it's classic Hulk. Love it.
Yeah, there's definitely a way to write the dumb Hulk, and this is certainly how you do it. Have some fun with it, right? Or have him serve coffee, whatever you want.
So Nighthawk and Luke Cage are trying to stop Hulk from busting through the barrier because they know it's hurting Doctor Strange, but they get there too late. Hulk punches his way through, and Doctor Strange collapses. So the Wrecking Crew get their powers back.
Yes. And then, what's his name again? Bulldozer is now running towards the Hulk, thinking that he's going to, smash through him, but the Hulk is stronger. Yeah. And so he just punches him in the head, and he goes flying. But Look at this. He's even got a smile on his face. Ha!
Yeah.
Tin Can Head just lays on garbage, not moving. Garbage is where Tin Can Head belongs. But behind him is the Wrecker. And the Wrecker starts choking him with his crowbar. But, of course, like you said, it's like, no, just when you think, the tides turn, right? Hulk flips him over and throws him into, of course, Luke Cage. But then Luke Cage punches him and he goes flying the other way.
He served him up for Luke to punch into Pile Driver. So the Wrecker goes flying into Pile Driver.
Yep. And then what? And then Wrecker attacks Nighthawk, but he jumps out of the way and lands both of his feet in his face.
Yep.
And then what happens here? And then it's born back and forth. But now they kind of mention here that invisible wall around the block is gone. We can come back for Thunderball's gizmo later because they kind of reference this MacGuffin that they've been searching for the whole issue, right?
Yep.
And so
the Wrecker says, "I'll take care of these cream puffs. Give me a second." And he cracks the ground with his crowbar, sends all the defenders flying. But as they're about to make their escape, Thunderball finds what they're looking for. And can you read his dialogue there, Micah, when he holds up the Gamma Bomb?
Right. He's like, "No, wait, I found it. It must have been unearthed by our battle, just as we'd hoped it would be. I promised you we'd find it. Didn't I? Didn't I?" Stop John and open that thing. But what happens? If it contains what you said it does, there'll be nothing that can stop us. Nothing. No problem, Wrecker. The catch on the case is already loose enough to... Oh my lord, the case is empty. The end.
Yeah. It's a big cliffhanger. Got to figure out where's the Gamma Bomb. Someone's got the Gamma Bomb.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's where it goes next issue.
You have to buy the next issue, another 75 cents, right?
25 cents.
Oh,
but I would absolutely keep reading this. Oh my goodness, I want to find out. But I kind of cheated. Spoiler alert: some kid found the Gamma Bomb, and he
really?
thought it was a softball.
So you read ahead.
I read the summary of it.
Oh, okay.
When I was doing the research.
Oh God.
So they got to get the Gamma Bomb off a kid.
Interesting.
There you go.
Huh.
But I love this. Nothing but fights. The whole thinking issue. Nothing but fights.
This
makes up that Doctor Who nonsense last week.
I admit this is entertaining. Definitely entertaining.
Exactly what you want a comic book to be. Bunch of good guys and punching each other.
You could argue that. It's definitely what you want a superhero comic to be, maybe specifically a Marvel superhero comic, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so the writer's Len Wein. We talked about him on the show many times. He wrote issues 12 through 19 of The Defenders. And again, the dialogue here is classic old school comic book stuff. It's not great literature. Don't kid yourself.
Definitely not.
It's appealing to the youth. But if I was a kid and I was reading this, I'd be like, holy hell, is this amazing. It's
definitely fun. It's definitely fun.
Yeah. Anything else about Len Wein from this issue?
I don't know. I mean, I've been very on the fence about him. I mean, I know Grant Morrison's a big fan of his because Len Wein also wrote Justice League at some point, I believe, right?
He wrote a ton of stuff.
Right. Like he's written pretty much, he's one of those guys that wrote pretty much everything. He also wasn't he like an executive editor at DC or something much later on?
Wasn't he also editor-in-chief at Marvel for a little bit?
Oh, yeah. Well, everybody was, yeah. But, he definitely was one of them, yeah.
Yeah. So of course, he created Wolverine, right? That's where he's most famous for.
Yes, I think you're right. And he also wrote the very first Giant-Size X-Men, the Giant-Size X-Men #1 and the first 2 issues of New X-Men before Chris Claremont took over.
And, of course, he created the Wrecking Crew.
There you go. Forget everything.
And he also brought in Nighthawk to the Defenders. That was one of his deals. He brought Nighthawk in.
So yeah, he's definitely like if you were to talk about the 70s, he's in the top 5 probably like writers, right? You got
I would say so.
Thomas, Marv Wolfman. I don't know who else, but yeah, he's definitely one of them for sure.
Yeah. So then the artist is Sal Buscema. Excuse me. We've talked about Sal many times on the show.
Yes.
Of course, I hate to say it, but he's the lesser Buscema, of course. But I mean, he's still good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still good.
No one's. Yeah, he's definitely the lesser, but he's still great. This is definitely not his best work.
No, the big complaint with Sal is he's kind of like, again, he never wanted to be an artist. He wanted to be an inker. And then he kind of just fell into drawing the pencils because they needed somebody. So within like a year, he was drawing the Avengers. He started on the Avengers as the regular artist. And he was drawing it at the time when that Squadron Sinister thing happened. So that's why he's credited with being part of the creator there of the Wrecker. Or no, Nighthawk, I mean, not the Wrecker, Nighthawk.
Yeah.
So anyway, but the big complaint with him is it's kind of boring and like his art, it's like, it's dynamic, but not as dynamic as John. It's the perspectives, like the angles are a little stale and boring, traditional. Like I guess the best way to describe Sal's work would be workmanlike.
Yeah, I have to.
Not overly creative with panel design.
Yes.
Page layout, but he's just rock solid comic book art.
Right.
And he was doing like 5 books at a time. You know.
Right.
So there's not a lot of time for great art here. He was just cranking out the pages.
I mean, he also did the issue of New Mutants that we covered, number 4, right?
Yeah, but that was inked by McLeod, and I think McLeod's inks really define those pencils.
They definitely helped, yeah. But yeah, I think you're totally right. I think he's a guy that he knows exactly how to tell a story. Everything's in the right place, but you're right. It's like, I guess you could say his heart's not in it. Like, I mean, I don't know, and I love the guy, but it's kind of like he goes, okay, I need a guy to smile. Okay, I need a guy to scream. But he's not putting the subtle nuances in. It's kind of like he's got 3 expressions and he just uses them over and over again, it seems like, you know?
Yeah, like these panels here, a lot of action like compressed into these panels. So it's kind of like you're always at a distance from the characters and they're kind of flat there, but still pretty dynamic.
Yeah.
It's still entertaining. It tells the story. But again, there's nothing like creative here. There's nothing like great art here. It's just very workmanlike. Boom, boom, boom. But it's good stuff, though. It's like when you think of a classic comic book, this is what you would imagine, I would guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say, if you're listening out there, and if you want to see Sal Buscema at his peak, it was actually probably in the 90s when he was teamed up with J.M. DeMatteis on Spectacular Spider-Man, around the time of, what was it called? I don't remember the storyline, but it was kind of like...
And DeWolf.
What's that?
Wasn't it? Gene DeWolf. Yeah,
I don't think he did Gene DeWolf.
I think he did.
What, the death of Gene DeWolf?
I think he did.
Oh, maybe he did. Okay.
Let me check.
I'm thinking more like later on when he did a follow-up to Kraven's Last Hunt that featured Vermin. And it was around that time. And then around the time that Harry Osborn, the Green Goblin, died. It was like a really good run that he did where his art was just excellent. So anyway, check that out if you get a chance.
Created by Bill Mantlo and Sal Buscema. Gene DeWolf. She first appeared. Well, maybe he just created her. Maybe he didn't do that run on.
No, he definitely drew her at some point. I'm just saying I don't think he drew the death of Gene DeWolf. Yeah,
he created her with Bill Mantlo from Marvel Team Up 48 to 51. But he may not have done the death.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see who the artist was on the death.
I'm going to guess before you even get to it. How about that? I'm going to guess it was... Oh, is it Rich Buckler or something?
That is correct.
Wow.
All-Star Squadron fame, Rich Buckler.
Jeez. Quarantining since 1986, folks. There you go. Wow. Anyway.
But Sal, I should say, he broke in 69 drawing the Avengers. So this is like 4 years into his career, 5 years in. So that's impressive, though. He was doing some great work in the 90s, all these years after that.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
And he did the first 29 issues of the Defenders, and then he did an additional 16 issues in an annual between the 72 and 85.
Wow.
So he's quite associated with the Defenders. How about that? Sal Buscema. So I don't know what else to say about this. It's just a big, long fight. This whole issue is just a big, long fight, and I loved every second of it.
It's definitely fun. I guess the weird thing about, not weird, but the notable thing about Marvel is, other than, I mean, you've got the X-Men, you've got the FF, but other than the Avengers, this is their biggest team of random people that just, hang out, right? It might. It is. Yeah, because like no one's heard of Champions, right?
Yeah.
And
so this would be.
This is probably the second biggest like collection of heroes, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there'd be any other counterpart.
Like with DC, you have the Justice League, and then you have maybe the Teen Titans, but that's really it. And then you know, so Marvel, it's pretty much the Avengers and the Defenders.
Well, DC's got All-Star Squadron, Justice Society.
Yeah, but those are. I mean, but that's Earth 2. I'm just saying, you know, if you want to include those, because then with Marvel, you'd have to say the Invaders, the All-Winter Squad. You know,
what the hell are the All-Winter Squad?
As far as I know, the All-Winter Squad. Okay, you know the All-Star Squadron was a retcon that was created in the 80s?
Yes.
Well, All-Winter Squad was an actual Marvel comic in the 40s, and I think Roy Thomas just kind of, you know, copied the name and just created the All-Star Squadron for DC. But All-Winter Squad had like Captain America, Namor, Human Torch, and Toro, I think. But I could be wrong about that. But it's definitely a 40s Marvel comic.
Who is Toro?
That was Human Torch's kid partner.
Really?
Yeah, kid sidekick. Yep.
And when you say Human Torch, you don't mean Johnny Storm. You mean the robot Human Torch.
I mean, yeah, the android, right?
Yeah.
But I think Toro was a regular guy, but he just happened to have the exact same powers.
Really?
I think so. Yeah.
I've never heard of him.
Really?
How is that possible?
I don't know what happened to him, to be honest. I'll have to look him up quickly now.
Yeah, this is the part of the show where we Google. It's all right. Yeah. Happens every week.
Yeah, he's, let's see here. His name is Thomas Raymond. He was in the circus.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I'd have to read this whole thing now. But yeah, I think he's a regular guy, but he has powers similar to the Human Torch. He can fly and burst into flames, and he's flame resistant.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Because it would suck if he wasn't flame resistant.
Yeah, you're right.
He can burst into flames, but can only do it once.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right. Any other favorite Wrecking Crew stories, Michael?
Oh, man. The only thing I can say with the Wrecking Crew that's cool is which one? Okay, I'm trying to remember which one's which here. Which one's the black guy?
Thunderball.
Okay, yeah, because he was kind of on his own for a while, wasn't he?
I have no idea.
I seem to remember reading, I don't know if it was Iron Man or Spider-Man, but he was definitely on his own for a while, because I kind of know more about him than the other ones. So I think they kind of developed him as his own character, which I always thought was kind of cool.
I just always remember the Wrecker for being responsible for breaking up Colossus and Kitty Pryde, because during Secret Wars, he cracked Colossus in the ribs with his crowbar, gravely injuring him. So then that lady from Battle Planet had to heal him, and Colossus fell in love with her.
Ooh.
And he fell out of love with Kitty Pryde.
Ooh, brutal.
So it's all because of the Wrecker. He's a home wrecker. It all ties together.
Oh, that's good. Yep. So I'll tell you right now, this definitely makes me want to crack open the Defenders that I've got sitting in my long boxes. That's for sure. It's definitely fun. Yeah,
and like I said, the later issues with Englehart, it gets weird. Okay. So if you're into weird shit, like a lot of people praise that Englehart run, and I forget the place, but they did like the best stories of the 70s, best comic books of the 70s from Marvel, and Defenders ranked number 1.
Come on.
Yeah, they ranked Defenders number 1, specifically for the Englehart run.
Wow, okay, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy shit. I don't know. I don't know if you remember the one I did, but it was all about transplanting brains in different bodies, and they had villains like Ruby Tuesday. Do you remember Ruby Tuesday?
Oh, yes. I believe Ruby Tuesday is a Steve Gerber creation, though.
Oh, maybe I'm talking about Steve Gerber, then.
I think you are. Steve Gerber is definitely the weirder of the two, for sure. Yeah.
Maybe I'm confusing the two, then.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to have to look this up.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure Englehart's the one that gets all the praise for the Defenders.
Well, they both, I think they were right after each other, so maybe they both do. I don't know. But I think Englehart or Gerber also created Dr. Bong, or was that in Howard the Duck? I'm not sure. Did you come across Dr. Bong, the guy with the head that's just like shaped like a bong?
No.
Okay, pretty. But it's surreal, weird stuff, right? Like I think they were all on certain types of chemicals at that point when they were writing. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that I think the Comics Bulletin. Fuck, I can't find it. Anyway, but yeah, so the Defenders were pretty popular in the 70s. So
yeah, it's too bad they got canceled in the 80s. But what are you gonna do, right?
Yeah. And
actually, I think we talked about this. Didn't they cancel Defenders as well as a bunch of other comics to make way for the new universe?
Probably.
I think they did.
They got canceled in '86, so that's right around the time the new universe came out, right?
Yep.
So, all right. So, what would you give the Defenders, Michael?
Ooh, I guess it depends how you see things, but I guess I'd give it. I mean, it's entertaining. I'll give it a 5.
A 5.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 7.
7.
Yeah, because it's nothing but fights and it's glorious. If the art was like Sal, I like Sal, but the art's kind of boring and stale. Like it's not too lively. It would have got higher, but you can't beat the Wrecking Crew fighting people. It's the best.
It's definitely entertaining. I'll give you that, but there's just not much to it.
Obviously, but
okay.
So there you go, Michael. The Defenders 1974. So this is the part of the show I dread every week.
All right. So next week we are going to actually have a guest star.
Whoa.
I think this is my first guest star, isn't it? Or is it my second? I don't know.
Jolie. Do we count Jolie as a guest star?
Okay. Well, yeah, because guess what? My second guest star is also Jolie. So next week, yes, G.I. Jolie is our guest star, and actually let her pick. And you'll never guess what she picked, Mike Dell. I'm going to give you 3 hints. I'm going to see how long it takes for you to guess.
All right.
Okay. Hint number 1 is it's not Marvel or DC. Okay.
All right.
Hint number 2 is it's black and white.
Okay.
And hint number 3 is it features the stars of the comic are all animals.
That's gonna be terrible. It's not. Shoot. Is it? I don't know.
I'll give you one guess. One guess. Come on.
I have no idea. Does it involve rabbits?
No, it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh,
one.
I
Yes.
didn't even think about them.
Yep.
All right. Well, that'll be interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
This was actually on my list as well, but she picked one of the same ones I was going to use.
Is she actually a big fan of the Turtles?
Well, I don't think she's a big fan, but she's definitely a fan. She's probably interested in reading it. So.
Yeah. All right. All right. So there would be a lot to discuss there.
I think so. Yeah, definitely. A lot of research for you, right?
Yeah. I mean, I liked the Turtles when I was younger.
Of course, everyone did, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the indie black and white, comic that started it all. This was not the one really, intended for kids. So it's going to be interesting. I did read some of these when I was a kid, but not this one. So.
And what year are we talking here?
This is 1984.
That's what I was going to guess. 84.
Yep.
And what's the guy's name? Eastman or what?
Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird are the creators.
There you go. Well, that'll be good next week.
Yep.
Cowabunga, dude.
You're right. Okay, so I guess that wraps up this week's episode of Flea Market Fantasy. This is the comic book podcast that reviews a different Bronze Age comic book every week. So sometimes Mike Dell picks, sometimes I pick, sometimes other people pick, but it's always a good time, right?
Of course.
And if you're in self quarantine right now, feel free to go back and listen to the first 30 episodes. They are all available on iTunes, Stitcher, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, the Comic Book Syndicate website. Oh yeah, and to make it as confusing as possible, this is Flea Market Fantasy, produced by El Del Radio on the Comic Book Syndicate channel on all of those platforms, right?
Yeah. Search for Comic Book Syndicate.
There you go. That'll make it easier. So there you go. Until next Thursday. Oh no, I got it wrong. Until next Tuesday. Disperse.